Hello everyone, it is Miss Feck here, and I am here to review Mole Highway, both grams to grams conversion, grams to moles, and moles to grams. So let's jump right in. Oftentimes when we look at the Mole Highway, we can look at what we see down at the bottom of the screen right here, and be reminded that just like when you're driving, you can hop on the highway at any point. When we are using the Mole Highway, we can hop on and hop off with anywhere you want on this Mole Highway. So since it is talking about grams of, it wants us to calculate how many grams of C3H8 we have, and we already have grams of O2, we are going to need to convert from grams of O2 to grams of C3H8. And this would often be used if we are doing a chemical reaction of this combustion reaction. So every time we see mass A in our Mole Highway, anytime we see A, we are going to assume that is O2 because that is what we are starting at. And every time we see B, that will be C3H8, and that is where we are going to. Now, I'm just going to start off by always writing my given over 1. This is oftentimes what I said in class. Always start with your given over 1. My given is 24.1 grams of O2. So that will be my given over 1. And I always write my units. And next, since I have grams of O2 here, I'm going to put my grams of O2 here. Just put it right down. And I'm going to want to go from grams of O2 to moles of O2. Moles of O2 will go on top. Since I have moles of O2 here, it will be moved to go right here, below. I'm all the way right here on the periodic table of elements, so I want to go to moles of C3H8, put that there. Put moles of C3H8 on the bottom. I want to go from moles of C3H8 to mass of C3H8. So I'm going to put that on the top, grams of C3H8. And now I'm going to go back and start filling in my numbers. I prefer doing all of my units first and then going back and doing your numbers, but some people do prefer putting the numbers in as they go. Either way works. So if I'm going from grams to moles, from moles to grams, from grams to moles, I'm going to look at the molar mass. And I find the molar mass by looking at my periodic table of elements. I look to find the small number down here, to find the mass of one of those atoms. So since in that case I wanted O2, I need 2 oxygens. So that would be 2 times 15.99, or 2 times 16 is what I used. And that gives me about 32. Usually you'll do exact, but the periodic table of elements I used was 32. And I miscalculated that, so that should be 32 grams per mole. So 32 grams goes with the O2 and 1 mole goes with the mole. And that is because everywhere on the periodic table of elements, when it has a mass, it is talking about 1 mole of that atom. And so therefore it is this many grams in 1 mole. And since we have 2 oxygens in this molecule, that would be 2 times 16. Next, when I get to moles of O2 to moles of C3H8, I need to look at the mole-to-mole ratio. So these are my coefficients in front of each of my numbers. And notice that if I have nothing, I can assume that is a 1. But right now I'm looking at what is in front of C3H8, and that is a 1, so I put the 1 here. And in front of the O2 is 5, so 5 goes there. Next, I need the molar mass of C3H8. And in 1 mole of C3H8, because that number is always going to be 1 when we're going from moles to grams, and 1 mole is 44.11 grams. Now I just need to calculate that out, and my calculator's not on there, but if I use a calculator provided, or that you have, you would do 24.1 times, I like doing fractions, so times parentheses 1 divided by 32, close parentheses, times parentheses 1 divided by 5, times 44.11, and that gives me 6.4 grams. So my final answer is 6.64 grams, and I'm talking about grams of C3H8. So that is my final answer. We're next going to talk about what would we do if we have to go from grams of something to moles of something. Well, like we said before, we're always going to start with our given over 1. Our given is grams of O2, so we are going 14.1 grams of O2 over 1. And I'm going to pause a second and remind myself I'm going grams of O2 to moles of C3H8. So if I look at my mole highway, I notice I'm going to start with grams, so I'm starting here, and this time I'm getting off at moles. So I am just going mass A to moles B. My mass A is my given, which is O2. So everywhere I see A, that will be O2, and I'm getting to B, C3H8. And just like before, I can put whatever is right here, put it on the denominator here, and I see I'm going from grams of O2 to moles of O2, moles of O2 on top. Moles of O2 goes from moles of O2 to moles of C3H8 on top. And that is exactly where I want to end. I got the unit on top that I want because I said I wanted to end with C3H8 because that's what we were going for, to moles of C3H8. So now all I have to do is plug in my numbers. And I see here, if I can get a marker, grams of O2, well, I said above the molar mass of O2 is 32 grams per mole. So in 32 grams of O2, I have 1 mole. And then my mole to mole ratio, 1 is in front of the C3H8 and 5 is in front of the O2. Calculate that out, so I can do 14.1 times 1 divided by 32 times parentheses 1 divided by 5. And when I do that, I get, that does not make sense. Let me try that again. My final answer is going to be 0.0088 moles of C3H8, which is exactly where I wanted to go. Now I'm going to start somewhere else. I'm starting from moles, and I'm going to grams because it's asking how many grams, so it wants me to get to grams of O2, and I'm starting with moles of MgO. So this time I'm going from moles to grams. I'm taking out this first step, I'm hopping on the highway at moles and going from moles of A to moles of B to moles of B. So again, moles A is given, so that is MgO. And then B, I'm going to be talking about O2. I start with what's given over 1, which is 5.7 moles of MgO. Notice all my units over 1. Moles of Mg is going to go there. I'm going from moles of MgO to moles of B. It says mole ratio. Look at the balanced equation. So I'm going from moles of MgO to moles of O2. Look at my coefficient. There is a nothing in front of the O2, so I can assume that is a 1. And there is a 2 in front of the MgO. Put that there. Then I go moles of O2 on the bottom. And I will be done because I want to get to mass of O2, so grams of O2 on top. Look at my molar mass. There are 32 grams of O2 and 1 mole of O2. And just a reminder, it is always 1 mole and then however many grams I see on the periodic table of elements and finding the molar mass. If I multiply that out and do my division as well, I get 91.2 grams of O2, which was the units I wanted. Thank you for tuning in to learn a little bit more about the Mole Highway. I hope this is helpful. Feel free to ask questions if you have any. Have a great day.